Hello and welcome to this edition of A Conversation With. I'm Jim Marshall of the New Bedford Cable Network, and as we do each and every year at this time, it is time for the Chamber to stroll in and talk to us about the holiday shopping season, and I use that term loosely, the holiday shopping season, because it's expanded, I think. Michael Sullivan, the CEO of One SouthCoast Chamber of Commerce, is in. Thanks for coming in. This is your first time in, so I appreciate it. Lots going on. How you doing?
I'm doing great, and thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
The holiday shopping season is, we're starting it out here, and you've got a while to go. But as I said, I don't even think the holiday shopping season's defined now between Black Friday and Christmas. It's not the same anymore.
No, it's definitely not the same. I mean, I could use myself and my wife as an example. This past Sunday, we finished our Christmas shopping because we have so many things going on every single weekend between Thanksgiving and Christmas that we just said, let's just get it out of the way. Let's get it done.
Yeah.
Let's get it over with. So people start early, and they just want to get moving with it. Get it out. Some people want to get it out of the way, and then you're always going to have the traditionalists that on Christmas Eve are going to be going right in, knocking on the doors at 5 o'clock.
And stores have been promoting their Christmas inventory for a while now.
They have. You see this, you see in the stores. I mean, people. I saw Christmas stuff in September.
Mm-hmm.
I think I might have seen it in some of the big box stores in August, and you just shake your head and you're like, God, can't we even let school start? and it doesn't happen that way. And then, and a lot of the stores they just completely skipped Thanksgiving. They just went from Halloween and then just put Christmas stuff up. And
right.
That was it. And, so everybody seems to do it a little bit differently, but it's definitely expanded.
So how are, you hear about the economy all the time and inflation and things have been tough for the last couple of years, but people are still spending. Consumers are still spending, it seems. So from what you're hearing and reading about, how does the season look for consumers and how do they feel?
Consumers are concerned, especially, with the changes in the election. Consumers are very concerned. They had been tightening up a lot in the last, 3 or 4 months as we rolled up to the election. So it was, consumers are super, super concerned, but they're cautiously optimistic, I think. They're still spending. Unfortunately, you see credit card debt still continue to rise, but people are moving. They're spending money, but they're being cautious about what they spend it on as well. They're looking more for quality stuff, sustainable things, if whenever possible. But there's I think there's always going to be that concern the next couple of years.
It doesn't, and it never seems to change. People are always looking for the deals.
The
deals. They're always concerned about. They don't want to spend too much because money's always tight. It seems.
Everybody always wants the best deal. They want the discount. They go. They work really hard to find those particular discounts, and then they like to talk about it. They like to tell everybody about the best deals.
You got the deal, yeah.
I got the greatest deal on this. But I haven't heard any one specific deal that that's out there that everybody needs to chase. There have been other years in the past where I haven't heard of a Tickle Me Elmo that's out there.
Right.
If you remember when Tickle Me Elmo,
Cabbage Patch Dolls. I remember that craze. Yeah.
Yeah, that was another craze that my wife still has one of those, but I think the Tickle Me Elmo finally died.
So we talk about consumers, but are local businesses ready? Because I know that they're over the past year. I mean, people were looking for employees. How do you feel? How does it seem now from your vantage point about? Do they have the product and do they have the staff that can handle it?
Now they can get the product. So the product is not as much an issue as it was during COVID or coming out of COVID. Staffing is still a serious problem.
Really?
Yeah, staffing's still a serious problem. Everybody talks about, how economically, there's more people at work, but when I talk to small business owners, they're they're still at their wits' end trying to figure out how am I going to get through the day. There's just a lot of people that are just not in the job market that used to be.
And that's curious, actually. Why? I mean, why? I mean, if money's tight and you're not working, I mean, it doesn't seem to add up.
Well, I think that's part of it. Is during COVID, people realized that the numbers don't add up, and when you look at when you consider the cost of child care and going, and when people determine whether or not they actually want to work, they look at it, and the amount of money that they end up taking home is really not a lot. And they really figured that out during COVID.
Yeah.
Because COVID, it was like, well, I can't go to work. And then they realized, wait a minute, so I don't go to work. I'm not spending the money that it actually costs me to get to work, and clothing and all that kind of stuff, and lunches and everything else that's associated with. And the sun still came up the next day. And, so a lot of people realized that, and they just determined, you know what, I'm not going to go back to work.
We've only, you talk about COVID, and I think that's a great point. It's only been a couple of years that things have really started to return to quote unquote normal.
Right.
But this seems like a holiday season where it is more pre-COVID, if you will. Let's put it, the atmosphere is more pre-COVID. Do businesses see that as well?
Yeah, businesses do see it that way. There's a lot more just pre-COVID activity. There's a lot more people going out, so meaning I think just more people in the stores. I don't know. I'm not sure yet what the impact of online shopping is, but I think online shopping is just going to continue to grow. But it seems like there's more and more people that are getting out. Families, mothers, daughters going shopping for the whole day, that kind of thing. Getting out, going to downtowns like downtown New Bedford. To just go and see what they can find, because shopping locally in downtowns, you can still find great stuff. You get great buys, you get unique buys. Sometimes you get the great deals. So there's a lot to be said for just going downtown and going shopping.
And you and I were talking off camera, which I still remember the saying from Jim Mathis, who was in your seat many years ago, telling me there's nothing that you want or that you desire for Christmas that you can't find here in really southeastern Massachusetts. It's, if you really want it, you can find it here.
God bless Jim Mathis, because he was right, and he's still right. Yeah, you can find it. You might have to look hard, ask around a lot maybe, but you can find just about anything on the South Coast.
And I don't think people realize how important this holiday season, and again, it's different from what it used to be, how important it is to a local business economically. This is really a huge time for them.
You have people, depending on the industry and the type of business, I've heard people can make 30% of their money in this 5 or 6 week period. And I've heard others make 70%.
Wow, that much?
Yeah, it depends on. It really does depend on the type of business that you are. It's a very widespread. But even if for a small business, 30% of what you bring in a 5 or 6 week period during the holidays, that's a huge nut.
And it's curious too because again, it's such a small window. And it goes back to what we were talking about a moment ago about inventory and staffing. I mean, right. When it's that important or that much money at stake, you've got to have the product and you've got to have the staffing to get you through it.
Yeah, you can't. People. A couple things. They don't want to wait in line. That's for sure. Yeah. They really don't want to wait in line, because that's when they start thinking, "Oh, I'll just go home and buy it online somewhere." They take a picture of the tag and so I'll just go home and buy it online if it takes too long. So you do need the staffing, and the staffing's tough. That's when you'll see husbands or spouses or partners. You see a lot of that, or young teenagers working that might not normally be working in someone's store because they need the bodies.
And I've seen some businesses that are looking for those the 5-6 week employees just to get them through the holiday. So that's still I don't know if it's as many, but I still see some signs like that.
Yeah, there's definitely that situation. There's absolutely that situation, and it's not uncommon that you know, you might be a business owner and you have 3 or 4 friends that will help you out. They'll just jump in and help, and because they know somebody needs the help, and they just say, you know what, I'll help you on Saturday, I'll help you on Sunday, and I'll help on if it's a hot night or something like that. I'll jump in on a Thursday night and help.
It's not, the interesting thing too, it's so important to the businesses, but it's so important to the communities too, to have a good holiday season, shopping season.
Yeah.
I don't think people realize that either. It's important when we say shop local, and that's what you folks do all the time. It means a lot to the communities as well as the business.
It really does. And, just yesterday in downtown, they were starting to put up the Christmas tree. And, that's always exciting, because that means right after Thanksgiving, you're going to see you're going to have the tree lighting, all the stuff that goes on, that's really exciting stuff that people really want to, they come downtown, they want to see it, they want to be a part of it. It's great community building stuff. And holiday shopping is just like that.
And when you go into these, New Bedford, obviously, but these other communities, Fall River as well, their downtowns or their main streets, those shops are such a fabric of the community that you really need people to shop in there.
Yeah, you definitely need people to shop locally. You really do. There might be some shops that are similar, but then you've got other shops that are just completely different. And when you plan on coming, spend the day. Get lunch someplace. Get lunch in one place, and then get dinner later on. You can make it into a complete day, and it's important to do that because it's supporting the local businesses.
One thing too, and I should have asked this earlier, your area, the One SouthCoast area, is a very big area. Tell us a little bit about just the area that the chamber encompasses.
We cover 19 communities, and I kind of refer to 195 as kind of the artery of the South Coast. But it starts at Seekonk, right on the East Providence border, and then it just comes down 195 and it goes all the way around back up to Wareham. And on the northern tip, it hits Somerset, Dighton, Freetown, just north of Fall River. So it's 19 towns. It's over 450,000 people live in the area, and we have over 1,200 members, and we've got those 1,200 members employ over 50,000 people.
And the one thing too, because if you go to the website, I think it's important. So if you're looking for an item, a great resource is your website, because you can look and see the members.
Yes.
And
you can go to the member directory.
Correct. And then, it kind of all goes back to what you were saying. If you want it and if you look, you can find it local. I mean, you may have to drive to Wareham, or you may have to drive to Seekonk, or you may have to come to New Bedford. But chances are, if you're checking that directory with the 1,200 members, you're
going to find it.
Yeah.
Yep. You can find just about anything through our website. And there is great shopping on the South Coast, and in downtown. Downtown New Bedford is like the base of it, there's just so much that people can find and buy here.
And I don't want to disparage online shopping, but why shop local versus the online?
Well, the people who own the local businesses, they live locally as well. They pay taxes. They do everything that there is to do locally.
They hire people.
And they sponsor events. They sponsor the Little League teams. They sponsor, the spaghetti dinners. They sponsor all that kind of stuff that gives back to the community. That keeps the community going and moving, and help the not-for-profits. And so it's important. It's very important.
I think the other thing too is that when you're talking about shopping, it's not just shopping, because a lot of these, even these small businesses, they offer the gift cards,
Right.
or they offer gift certificates or something that if you don't know what to get, you can still get something, and it helps the local business.
It definitely. I mean, the gift card programs are great, and they do. People give them out, and a lot of businesses, and they do this with downtown New Bedford. They'll run promotions where the stores are collaborating. So you might be able to get a gift card here for the store next door, and those things are those are good promotions to run. But the other side of it is, the small local businesses, they also employ our kids. They are. I mean, how many of our kids have grown up in the community that working at local businesses or working at local restaurants, or that kind of thing? It's important that that the kids learn their work ethic by working at local businesses, and there's just so many different variables that local stores affect.
Michael Sullivan is our guest. He is the CEO of the One SouthCoast Chamber of Commerce. We're talking about the holiday shopping season. Times are different, and I'm curious as to, at this point in time, again, things seem to be back to a little pre-COVID. So what are businesses doing? What can they do right now at this time to attract those customers? It's not like it was 20 years ago where we'd wait for the newspaper and my wife would envelop with the flyers that she would get every Sunday, which, by the way, she loved to do. But it's a different ball game now. So what are businesses doing, especially those small businesses that we're talking about? How do they attract those customers?
Social media is the leader right now. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Making great reels, those kinds of things. They really help bring people into your store. That's you and I remember when those things were never an issue.
Exactly.
But now they're the leading issue, really, and the people who, it's easy if you see a deal or you see a great promotion, you just you share it on your social media. All your friends and family see it, and everybody knows about it. Where in the old days it used to be if you got a coupon, you got one coupon for the store, but then you'd have to tell everybody, and you'd have to call them and say, oh, you got to go to XYZ store.
Are the businesses, are they listen, because there are some businesses that are run by older folks that aren't technically savvy, but do you find businesses embracing it or at least learning it to get those videos or whatever out?
Most businesses don't really have a choice, and even if you're older, you got to figure it out, or get your grandchildren to help you do it, or something like that. You need it.
Well, I know the chamber offers and helps as well to get those things off the ground.
Yeah, we have all sorts of different
workshops
and events during the course of the year where we bring in people who are experts to talk about how to make it work and that sort of thing, and try to convene the people so that they can help, because somebody who starts their business when they're 25 years old, they already got it. They grew up with it. They know how to make it work. If you ask them to put a print ad in the paper, they wouldn't know where to start.
Right.
But you don't really need a print ad anymore. We don't actually have many print vehicles around here anymore. But
which is fine. Which to me is kind of sad when you think about it. But that's
I started my life as in the newspaper business.
I mean, I still remember, and I'm dating myself now, but getting the Sears Christmas catalog was a huge ordeal. And you would go through that thing like with a fine-tooth comb.
Yeah, you could do all those things. I remember getting that, and Macy's used to send out a catalog, and I did. I started in the newspaper business selling advertising, so I sold a lot of print ads in my day. But it's just different, and that's fine. It's but you have to adapt to be able to utilize the tools that are out there.
And the one thing you mentioned earlier, which I think is a good point, I mean, I think it's a good thing if businesses work together. If you're, and I'm just using this, adjacent to one business on one side, one business on the other side, but you're completely different, you kind of help out, and maybe you do a deal where if you go to one, you can get coupons for the other two or something like that.
Yeah,
I
and
mean, you got to work together.
Yeah, absolutely have to work together, and you have to try to do those things so that you're keeping the people, keeping them downtown, not, so they don't just go some other place to shop. But the collaboration's important. It's very important.
So and we kind of talked about this earlier, but what are the things that you see right now for this year? And, is there anything that people are looking for? It always seems like electronics is always the deal that they're looking for, but is there something out there, I'm not talking specifics, but what are folks looking for in 2024?
A lot of it's still electronics, the improvement in electronics. There's, Verizon has unbelievable deals for phones, whether you want an Apple or a Samsung or whatever. Seems like everybody wants to find a way to upgrade their phone. Not me. I don't want.
Do you have a BlackBerry? Come on, be honest.
I had a BlackBerry. I have an iPhone, but I'm just happy with it. Like, it works. It does everything that I need it to do. It holds all the information I need it to hold. I can find everything. I can, FaceTime with my grandchildren and all that kind of stuff. So it works for me. But upgrading the phones is really big. A lot of people are really, really into AI, whereas, my phone, which is about 4 or 5 years old, you can work with AI, but you need to add the apps. You need to manually set it up to really work with AI. But if you go get the iPhone, I think it's the 16 now, it's already done. All the AI stuff is in there. It's all, it's in the DNA of the phone, and that's what kids want. That's what people want. Makes it easier to do their jobs and all that kind of stuff.
It does seem too that this is a great time of year for the restaurant industry. Maybe not per day. I mean, it probably is per day, but that's where those gift cards and gift certificates are coming in. Mm-hmm. And they're always a good gift. It's pretty hard to go wrong if you're giving somebody, because you don't know what to give them, a gift certificate to one of the great restaurants here in southeastern Massachusetts.
Oh my God, there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great restaurants. The restaurant industry is one that is struggles the most right now for staffing. They still are really getting whacked pretty hard by just maintaining staffing.
One thing, and we got like 5 minutes to go, but I want to make sure we talk about this, because you and I were talking about this off camera. You briefly touched on it when we started, but the holiday season itself is not those 5 weeks.
No.
It is, you said you saw some of the Christmas stuff in September, and I did too, but it goes well beyond January 1st too.
It really does, and part of it is the gift cards, part of it is returns and after Christmas sales, but the big sale season it's just longer. It's just a lot longer, and it definitely rolls into January more than I remember it as a kid. But it definitely starts earlier. It really starts earlier. I mean, my family, we have a couple different Secret Santas where we use the Elfster app.
Yeah.
And which the kids set up, by the way. But we use the Elfster app, and you can get started. We've it used to be we'd pull names out of a hat at Thanksgiving. That's how we started doing it.
Yeah.
And then now, like I said earlier, we're already done with our Christmas shopping, because you pull. We did it about a month ago, and my niece she just goes online, sends you an email, you accept it, and then
that's it.
And then, like a couple days later, you get from Elfster, you get who you have. Then you have to get in the Yankee Swap. Not a Yankee Swap, but a Secret Santa.
Right. Is that, do stores or businesses, are they doing some of the old-fashioned things that people used to like? I remember the green stamps that we used to have. Is there stuff like that going on? Or layaway? I remember layaway was a huge thing when I was growing up.
Layaway at some of the bigger box stores, they're doing
do that.
versions of layaway. Yeah, I haven't seen anything like the green stamps recently. I wouldn't say that they don't exist, but I haven't seen them.
But those were things that people used to
Yeah.
do at Christmas. The layaway was huge, or whatever. You'd see something and you'd pay down and you get it by Christmas time. And I do know the green stamps. My mother would use that stuff. But those things seem popular. I don't know if does the old stuff ever get popular again?
Well, one of the old things that people utilize is, it makes me think of Rick Kidder, is bringing in Santa Claus. Take pictures with Santa Claus, come meet Santa Claus, that kind of thing. A lot of places or communities still want to do that. From an old-fashioned perspective, you come meet Santa Claus and do your shopping, and so that's something I think people will never let go of.
Right. Yeah. We've got 2 minutes, but I want you to. What advice do you have for shoppers this season? I'm sure there's lots of things, but I mean, what are some of the things? I would assume shopping early is better because the longer you wait, you may not get what you need.
Yeah, my wife and daughter would be laughing that anybody's actually asking me for shopping advice, but it's definitely start early. Definitely start early. Shop wisely. Be smart. If you pay cash if you can.
Yeah. You talked about briefly debit card debt, but it has grown.
Yeah, it's definitely grown. But don't go crazy. It's probably the most important thing. It's just don't go crazy.
Have a budget.
Yeah, have a budget, and stick to your budget, and make sure that people control expectations. If you have kids, don't go crazy. Really, don't go crazy if you have kids.
So we've got Black Friday, Cyber Monday.
Yep.
Right. Anything else off the top that just days or whatever that are important days for maybe shoppers?
Those are the two most important days for the shoppers.
Yeah.
And Black Friday itself is back to being a little more important because a lot of the big box stores, they're not open on Thanksgiving anymore.
Yeah.
We went through those insanities where they'd open up on Thanksgiving.
7 o'clock at night or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and they're not doing that anymore.
I don't think people like that, though, to be honest with you. Some shoppers did, but I think most people leave Thanksgiving, and, at midnight, and my wife loved the midnight shopping, but it does seem as though that is, I don't know if people still go out like that on Black Friday morning.
They go out. They go out early, but I don't think they go out like they did at midnight or, there was a period of time there for a few years where it was just insane. It was insane, and it really, and I don't think the retailers really saw the benefit of it.
Yeah.
They, what if somebody's going to be there at midnight to buy something, they're going to be there at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And it's just, and you don't have the problems and insanities of things, people being up at midnight. And like, if you work at a store, you really want to work at midnight on Thanksgiving or 7 o'clock?
Right.
Like, what if, whatever happened to just kind of hanging out after Thanksgiving dinner,
Exactly. Well, it's great seeing you. Thanks for
It
coming
was
in.
great to see you, Jim. Thanks for having me.
And happy holidays.
Yeah, happy holidays. Great seeing you.
All right. That's going to do it for this edition of A Conversation With. I'm Jim Marshall, the New Bedford Cable Network. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon.